All right, speech 1315. Today we are going over chapter 5, selecting topic, purpose, and central idea. So selecting a topic is super important because it helps you understand kind of like where you're going with your speech. But there's a couple of different ways how you can select a topic. So you can select a topic you care about. So maybe, for example, you're really interested in lighthouses. So you'll say, my topic is going to be about lighthouses. Maybe you really like music. Maybe you pick a specific artist to look at for your speech or to inform listeners about or persuade them to go listen to their music. But you want to select a topic you care about. This is one way you can pick a topic. You can select a topic from personal experiences. So for example, if you watched a Star Wars parade and you wanted to talk about how cool it was, you can pick a topic based off of your personal experiences. And you can also explore your interests. So for example, let's say you've always wanted to take the time to learn about wind turbines, but you just never have the opportunity to do so. A public speech course such as this one or any speech in the future is a great opportunity for you to explore those interests. But you also could choose a topic that will interest the audience members. You always want to think about the audience members, but when it comes to a topic, you may pick one that will entice them. For example, if I was a keynote speaker at a bridal extravaganza conference, right? The audience members want to hear about something related to a wedding. So that's how I might pick my topic, is by choosing something that the audience members will be interested in. When picking a topic, you want to narrow the topic. So you don't want to be too broad. So for example, you don't want your topic to be reptiles or lighthouses. That is too broad. Be a little bit more specific and narrow it down. What is it about reptiles? Alligators' attacks on humans. That's pretty narrow. Like, it's very specific. Similarly with lighthouses, you may say lighthouses in the western region of Michigan. That's a lot more narrow and helps your audience members understand where you're going. When you get to the objectives portion of your outline, you state your general purpose, your specific purpose, and your central idea. So we're going to explore each of these in a little bit more depth. Your general purpose is either to inform, to persuade, or to entertain. You've done an informative speech, potentially by this point, or a persuasive speech. But you also may do a best man or bridesmaid speech to entertain. You could also do basically the general purpose of your speech is one of these three. And so you need to know which one you're doing, and that'll also help kind of direct you into how to present your speech. Now that you have your general purpose, which is to inform or to persuade, you need to narrow down your specific purpose. So if your topic is red-eared sliders, that's very broad, right? Your general purpose is to inform, but then you get to your specific purpose, which is to explain to my audience why red-eared slide turtles are banned in some states. Informative. If the general purpose was to persuade, you might say that the specific purpose would be to persuade audience members or to change people's minds about why red-eared slider turtles are banned in some states, right? You're trying to get the audience members to take some action in a persuasive speech. But this is the specific purpose is a little bit more narrowed in the objective section. When you are creating your specific purpose, begin with an infinitive. Just think of the word to explain, to inform, to persuade. That's how you begin with an infinitive. Include a reference to the audience members. So we started off with to. So to explain to my audience why red-eared slider turtles are banned in some states. You're getting more narrow when it comes to your audience members as well. And you want to limit the statements to one major idea. You don't want to conflate it with something else. So we have a really great start with saying, to tell my audience why red-eared slider turtles are banned in some states. Boom, that's great. But it's wrong to add in the second part, which says how the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are modeled after them. It's related, but it's not relevant to your overall topic. So that's not how you create your specific purpose. You want to make your statement as precise as possible. So for example, they put to inform my audience about turtles. Remember, turtles is like the broad overview, or reptiles is the broad overview, but you want to narrow it down to red-eared slider turtles, the black portion of this sentence. That would be a better way of making your specific purpose more precise. You also want to make sure you can achieve your objective in the time allotted. So if you say, hey, today the purpose of the speech is to inform my audience about the history of automobiles in North America. If you only have 5 to 7 minutes, you cannot cover over a century or more of information in 5 to 7 minutes. You can try, but you need to be a little bit more specific. You could say, I'm giving a general overview. The purpose of the speech is to inform my audience of a general overview of the last 10 decades. Maybe that's a little bit more possible to do in 5 to 7 minutes, but you don't want to make a goal that you can't achieve when stating your specific purpose. Also remember to not be too technical. So you don't want to get into I call this getting into the weeds. So you don't want to say, to explain to my audience how to create software to automatically generate WSDL files and XML instance documents and schemas. What? Like, I feel like this would be a 16-week course, right? It's not the time for a speech. So you don't want to get too technical when stating your specific purpose. Now, going on to the central idea, so right above it, you'll see that the specific purpose is to persuade my audience that Chicago style pizza is better than New York pizza. And the central idea is Chicago pizzas are thick and filling, while New York pizzas are thin and flimsy. When I'm trying to figure out what's the difference between a specific purpose and central idea, because even when I first started writing speeches, they very much seemed like the same thing, right? Like, I'm basically just reiterating what I just said. But actually, you're saying the same thing, but from a different standpoint or perception. Let me explain. When it comes to your specific purpose, you're discussing your goal for the speech. So when you think of specific, think of your goal. So your goal in the speech is to persuade your audience that Chicago style pizza is better than New York. The message is related to the central idea. So what are your listeners going to get out of the speech? That's the central idea. So what they're going to get is they're going to get an understanding of Chicago pizzas are thick and filling, while New York pizzas are thin and flimsy. So the central idea equals the message that listeners go away with, whereas the specific purpose is your goal. An overview of the speech design. So where does the general purpose, specific purpose, and central idea really land? It lands in the objectives portion under the title before you get to the introduction. This is, how do I put it? It's really great to fill this out when you are creating your outline, because it helps guide you through the remainder of editing the introduction, the body, and the conclusion of the outline. It can get tweaked when it comes time to presenting. So you'll have homework assignments in this course where you have to assess persuasive speeches, and you'll notice they don't say, my general purpose is this, my specific purpose is this, my central idea is this. But you can probably pinpoint what all of those are by just watching their speech. So it's really good to have this portion filled out and very crystal clear before going through the remainder of your speech to help guide you. And a tip for your career is examine your hidden purposes. So when you get into the workforce, a lot of times you'll have some biases or some hidden purposes to present that are outside of the general purposes of to inform, to persuade, or to entertain. You may be presenting to impress your boss, to potentially get a raise, to showcase your skills. All that I care about and what the textbook explains is that you need to be very self-aware of what your motives are, and you shouldn't let them conflate or interfere with the message you're trying to give to the audience members. So for example, if I have to give a quarterly report on the financial gains of Q1 at my company, my goal is to inform my audience members, right, in the boardroom. Sure, yes, I do care about maybe looking good in front of my boss. However, I'm not going to change my speech to highlight me when the general purpose is to inform. So don't let them interfere with the main goal. With that being said, that is all I have today on the objectives portion of your speech, which is the general purpose, central idea, and specific purpose of your speech. If you have any questions about this concept, please email me and we can set up a time to meet to discuss. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day. Bye.